The forgotten friend. It started with a letter. One crisp autumn morning, Elizabeth found an envelope slipped under her front door. There was no return address, and her name was scrawled in a handwriting she didn't recognize. Curious, she tore it open. Inside was a short, neatly written note. Dear Lizzie, it's been so long since we last talked. I miss the days we spent laughing and running through the fields. You haven't forgotten me, have you? Let's catch up soon. Your old friend, Emma. Elizabeth frowned. The name Emma rang a faint bell, but she couldn't place it. She searched her memory, flipping through fragments of her childhood, but the name eluded her. The second letter arrived a week later. This one was more specific, referencing their supposed adventures together. Lizzie, do you remember how we used to climb the oak tree behind your house? You always got scared near the top, but I'd help you. We'd watch the clouds and make up stories about the shapes. I miss those days. Do you still live in the same house? I'd love to visit. Love, Emma. Elizabeth stared at the letter, unease creeping over her. She had lived in the same house her entire life, and there was an old oak tree in the backyard. But she had no memory of an Emma. She asked her parents that evening, showing them the letter. Her mother's face turned pale. Emma, she whispered. Elizabeth leaned forward. Do you remember her? Her mother hesitated, then shook her head. No, it's probably nothing, just someone confused. But her voice wavered, and Elizabeth knew she wasn't telling the whole truth. The letters kept coming. Each one grew more personal, describing memories that felt like fragments of dreams. A swing set at the park. A summer spent catching fireflies. A locket Emma claimed they had buried together under the oak tree. Elizabeth's unease deepened. If she and Emma had been so close, why couldn't she remember her? Then, one night, she had a dream. In it, she was a child again, playing in the yard. A girl with long, dark hair and bright eyes was with her. They were laughing, running toward the oak tree. Come on, Lizzie, the girl called, her voice echoing in Elizabeth's mind. When Elizabeth woke, the girl's face was already fading from her memory. The next letter changed everything. This time, there was no nostalgic reminiscing. The tone was different, desperate. Lizzie, why won't you answer me? Don't you remember me at all? I've been waiting for so long. You promised you wouldn't forget me. You promised. Elizabeth's hands trembled as she read the letter. She didn't know what scared her more, the words or the fact that a part of her did feel guilty, as though she had broken a promise she couldn't recall making. Against her better judgment, she decided to write back. Her reply was simple. Emma, I'm sorry, but I don't remember you. Who are you? How do you know so much about me? Please explain. Elizabeth. She left the letter on her kitchen table overnight. The next morning, it was gone. The reply came the following day. Lizzie, I knew you'd remember eventually. I'm coming to visit. We have so much to talk about. See you soon. Emma. The unease in Elizabeth's chest solidified into fear. She didn't want to meet Emma, not without answers. That night, as the storm raged outside, Elizabeth couldn't sleep. She paced the house, jumping at every creak and groan of the old structure. Around midnight, there was a knock at the door. Elizabeth froze. The knock came again, louder this time. She crept to the window, peering through the curtains. At first, she saw nothing but rain and shadows. Then, a figure emerged, a young woman standing in the downpour, her long hair plastered to her face. Elizabeth's breath caught. The woman looked familiar, like the girl from her dream, but older. The knocking grew insistent. Lizzie, the woman called. Her voice was muffled by the rain, but Elizabeth recognized it instantly. It was Emma. "Go away," Elizabeth shouted, her voice shaking. But the woman didn't leave. She pressed her hand against the window, her pale face illuminated by a flash of lightning. "You promised, Lizzie," Emma said, her voice breaking. "You promised you wouldn't forget me." Elizabeth stumbled back, her mind racing. "I don't know you, I don't remember." Emma's expression darkened. "You don't remember because they made you forget. They didn't want you to know what happened." "What are you talking about?" "They lied to you," Emma said. "Ask your parents about the summer you turned 8. Ask them what they buried under the oak tree." The next morning, Elizabeth confronted her parents. At first, they denied everything, but under her relentless questioning, the truth came spilling out. When Elizabeth was 8, she'd had a best friend named Emma, a girl who had disappeared one summer without a trace. The police searched for weeks, but no leads ever emerged. Devastated, Elizabeth had begun having nightmares and refused to go near the oak tree. Her parents, desperate to ease her pain, had taken her to a hypnotherapist who specialized in memory suppression. They thought they were protecting her. Shaken, Elizabeth returned to the oak tree. She grabbed a shovel and began digging where Emma had said they buried the locket. After hours of work, her shovel hit something hard. She knelt down, her fingers scraping through the dirt, and unearthed a small, rusted tin box. Inside was a locket. The moment she touched it, memories flooded back, her and Emma playing in the yard, sharing secrets, and the last time she saw Emma, running toward the woods at sunset. Elizabeth dropped the locket, tears streaming down her face. "I remember," she whispered. Behind her, a voice replied, "I knew you would." Elizabeth turned, but no one was there. Only the faint sound of laughter echoed through the trees.
Esse é o DJ Holanda, tá lançando a nova moda. É o DJ Holanda.